I'm Brandon.
I'm Lauren.
I've been at Chestnut Mountain for majority of my life, since 97. Been on staff off and on since 2014, but consistently since 2016.
I've been at Chestnut Mountain for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
Since I met him. Got married in 2015, shortly after we got pregnant with Piper, our oldest. She was born February 2017. Then 9 months later, we got pregnant with Hudson. He was born in September of 2018. And then we were always, pretty much content with just having two.
I was content with having two. I was done.
And then once Hudson turned 1, I was like, I really want another baby. And he's like, no way. Ended up going on birth control. We were done. And then December of 2019, I told him, I think I'm pregnant. And he's like, no way.
No, you called me at work to tell me
True.
over the phone that you were pregnant. So go into 2020, kind of getting our heads around what does it look like to be a family of 5, and getting excited. We announced to the world, do the typical announcement that we're having a little girl, and
this whole pregnancy, I just felt like something was going to be wrong. I don't know. I just had a feeling something was going to go wrong. Maybe not as wrong as it did, but to some degree. April 6th was the night before my 20-week ultrasound. And I told him that night, I'm like, something's wrong. Tomorrow is, it's not gonna go well. And so because of COVID and the world shut down, I had to go to my appointment by myself. So it was the next morning. This is April 7th. I FaceTimed him with the kids at home so he could see. And I was kind of distracted, by FaceTiming them on the phone. And I realized the ultrasound tech wasn't saying anything. And so I looked at her and I was like, can you not find the heartbeat? And she said, I'm sorry, there's not a heartbeat.
Vividly remember that FaceTime and the kids being excited to see mom on the phone, and Piper's excited to see an ultrasound. She's 3, but Piper's always been very attuned to what's going on, and so when she hung up, I just kind of tried to distract them to go play, and they did, and I can just remember that crushing feeling of I'm not there. She's alone. And then it's just this moment of, I can remember walking into my office at home and just being like, why? What are you doing? This wasn't a plan. This wasn't a thing. And we've got excited. Then you have the selfish thoughts of but what, I've done all this for you, Lord. I've given my life to you. I've surrendered to a calling to you, and you're going to take her. So
the doctor came in and, explained that because of how far along I was, we were going to have to deliver her. They said I could go home, see the kids, and then come back, or, whatever. It was up to me. So I wanted to go home and at least hug my babies. So I went home for a little while and then went back to the hospital for the same day. Labored with her, just trying to, the body's not ready to give birth at 20 weeks. So took him a long time to make any kind of progress. And then finally on like right before midnight on April 8th, she was born.
I'm thankful for what God had taught me before. I'm a big believer that God teaches us a lot before we enter it, and not knowing that we needed that for that moment. And so I'm laying on the couch in the hospital room, and she's getting some rest, and I'm having what feels like a panic attack, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm asking God to meet me, and it was like the Lord was just like, hey, you know where to go. And he told me Psalm 23 and Psalm 46, really, this idea of like, hey, I'm your shepherd. Like, I'm going to make you lie down, and I've got you, and it sucks, and you can be mad at me, and I'm big enough to handle your frustration. And so in a moment of like, the presence of the Lord met me, and I just kind of sat in that moment of like, God, I'm really mad at you. And I know you're big enough to handle my madness and my frustration and my pain. But I'm really upset. And but I trust you. I don't understand it, and I don't want to, but I trust you.
So just remember, like, yes, I was angry, but I also pretty quickly after went into this thinking of, okay, God's gonna use this. Like, I know He's still good. I like threw myself into reading books and trying to like work through it and not really deal with like the anger piece of it. I just went straight to, this is gonna be good. Like, just trying to read everything I could and all this stuff. And that kind of quickly, burned out, and then the anger and frustration and why came. And I mean, sometimes I still wrestle with why, honestly. I mean, we've seen goodness come from it, but it's still hard.
And then, the other side of this is that tension of like, it's not just you and I mourning. It's Hudson's too young to really grasp what's going on, but Piper, like even now, still often talks about Brooklyn. And
it's crazy how it affected her as a 3-year-old. Like, you would think a 3-year-old wouldn't understand, wouldn't remember, but it has made a big impact on her. And I mentioned that we've seen goodness come from it. I feel like one major good thing from it is getting to talk to Piper about that. Brooklyn was sick. She went to live with Jesus. She's safe in heaven now. It opened up a lot of conversations about Jesus with her and heaven, and that He was taking care of Brooklyn. And Piper recently was saved and baptized, and I feel like those conversations and that hard time helped foster her heart. And
like, God entrusted us with her, and entrusted us with her story, and though I don't understand why He didn't let us have her, and I trust that He's good, and I can just think of like the story in Mark 9 of a dad whose son is sick, and asked Jesus to heal him, and Jesus, like, all things are possible, like, for those who believe. And the dad's response is, I believe, help my unbelief. And it was just one of those moments where, like, I know all these things are true about you, God. Like, I logically understand who you are, how you work, and what you say in Scripture is true. But man, it's being tested and questioned, and how do I explain to my daughter, like, often? And it was just like, she would bring it up out of the blue, like, that he is good, like, and then just like the hope of knowing, like, Brooklyn doesn't have to experience the hardship of life. Like, she just got to open her eyes in the presence of the Lord.
Be careful.
I'm ready. You're playing?
She really did not want to come in here, but y'all.
Just for a little bit.
Way
You can
more
play,
fun.
Very
okay?
disappointed.
Say hi.
This is Everly Hope, and this is a testimony to the faithfulness of God. 2021, we found out we were pregnant again, and found out. I just knew God was going to give us a little girl, and man, it was a tough season of the whole pregnancy. I feel like it was long and hard, and just wondering, like, hey, was God going to show up and be faithful? And she's our little miracle, and she's been really healing, and carries on the middle name of her big sister Brooklyn Hope, and Everly Hope, and and she's a mess.
I go play.
You go play.
Okay, you can go play.
Yeah, Mom.
You gotta eat me. Losing Brooklyn just left me with sometimes crippling anxiety. Something I still struggle with today. Having Everly, getting pregnant and carrying, like, that was just very hard, but also very healing.
And we'd love to be able to sit here and say, like, hey, we're complete and we're whole, and but I think God, even in that, is so faithful to, like, God isn't waiting on us to get it together to love us, and He's not waiting on us to be without frustration or anxiety for Him to love us completely. Like, He loves us in our mess, and I think is ever more present in our mess, and He's more near in those moments. But then His goodness to watch my kids grow, and even for Piper to still bring up Brooklyn, like, as hard as it is some days, like, she's a part of our family. She's our third, and we don't ever want to forget her, and we want to steward her story well, because though it has brought a lot of pain, I do believe it's going to bring Him a lot of glory, and